Okay, today we're going to solve radical equations. Please make sure that you take out a piece of loose leaf paper if you chose not to print out these notes. To solve an equation with a radical, the first thing that you're going to do is isolate the radical by moving all terms not under the radical sign to the other side of the equation using addition, subtraction, or division. Second, you're going to square both sides of the equation. Please note, if it is a cubed root, you're going to cube both sides. Then you're going to solve for the variable, and once again, you're going to check your answer or answers to make sure that they work in the original equation. So if we look at the first example, it says the square root of 2x plus 3 equals 5. We know that a square root, there's really a little 2 there. The opposite of square rooting something is to square it. So if I square this side and I square the other side, the square here knocks out this square root, so I'm left with 2x plus 3 equals 5 squared, which is 25. Now I have a regular equation to solve. I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. I get 2x equals 22. If I divide by 2, I get x equals 11. Now I want to make sure that that's a valid answer. So I'm going to go to the original equation. I'm going to plug in what I believe x is. 2 times 11 is 22, plus 3 is 25. The square root of 25 is 5. Since that's a valid answer, this is a good answer. If I look at number 2, the first thing I notice is the radical sign is not by itself. I have to get rid of this 2. Since that says 2 times the square root, the opposite of times is divide. So now I have the square root of 5x plus 1 equals 6. The opposite of taking the square root is to square it. So if I square both sides, this square cancels this square root. So I have 5x plus 1 equals 6 squared is 36. Now I have a basic equation to solve. I'm going to subtract 1. 5x equals 35. If I divide by 5, I get x equals 7. Now I go back to my original equation, which is 2 square root 5x plus 1 equals 12. Plug in my answer. 5 times 7 plus 1. I'm going to do the math. 5 times 7 is 35, plus 1 is 36. That should be an equal sign. The square root of 36 is 6. 2 times 6 is 12. Since this is a true statement, this is a valid answer. For number 3, again, the first thing I want to check is the radical sign by itself. It's not. I have to get rid of this 4. The opposite of adding, or since this is really a plus 4, would be to minus 4 from both sides. Now I have the square root of 1 minus 3y equals 8. Again, to get rid of a square root, the opposite of square rooting something is squaring something. So now I have 1 minus 3y equals 64. I'm going to subtract 1. I get negative 3y equals 63. If I divide both sides by negative 3, I get that y equals negative 21. I want to check that in the original equation. So 4 plus square root 1 minus 3y equals 12. I'm going to plug in what I believe y is. If you hate using your brain, you can always cheat a little bit and type that in the calculator. This is going to give you 64. Don't forget the radical there. Now, if I square root 64, I know that's 8. And 4 plus 8 is 12. Since that's a true statement, this is a valid answer. Again, the first thing I want to do when I'm solving a radical equation is look and see, is the radical by itself? It's not. So I'm going to add 2, because notice right here, the radical doesn't go over that. And I get the square root of 3y minus 5 equals 5. Now to get rid of the square root, I'm going to square both sides. So now I have 3y minus 5 equals 25. I'm going to solve my equation. I get y equals 10. I want to go back and check that in the original. So 3y minus 5 minus 2 equals 3. I'm going to plug in my answer. Again, if you hate doing math, you can always cheat and type that in the calculator exactly as I wrote it. You get 30 minus 5, which is 25. The square root of 25 is 5. Again, if I do my math, this becomes a valid statement, so this is a valid or a good answer. Last one, just so that we make sure that we all understand the concept. Again, here I have a cube root. Same process. The first thing I want to do is isolate that cube root. So I'm going to minus 5 from both sides. And now I have the cube root of 2x minus 3 equals negative 3. To get rid of a cube, we are going to, a cube root, we're going to cube both sides. So now I have 2x minus 3. If you want to do this in the calculator, make sure you type in negative 3 cubed in parentheses, because that's really saying negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. That gives me negative 27. Now I'm going to add 3, add 3. I get x equals negative 12. Once again, I want to make sure that I check my answer in the original. So I'm going to write down the original question. I'm going to plug in my answer. If you want to cheat, you can type this in your calculator. And you will get negative 27. If you don't know how to do cube roots, you can always cheat on your calculator. If you hit the math button, math, then choice number 4, that will give you a little cube root symbol. The cube root of negative 27 is negative 3. And negative 3 plus 5 is 2. That's a valid statement, so this is a valid answer. And again, this here is for that part here. Again, if you have any questions, please make sure that you write them down and either email me or ask me next time you see me.